Creator rise, I was positive surge. Cosmic post see emerges. Brain of eternal, hands on my time. Impossible prince can God watch you step in the mind. Soul triggers, power holy divine righteousness. Combined with courage, love of essence. Don't let trauma bind and block your blessings. When you behind the veil, you hear the confession. Give you limitation, corruption, fear, deception. This the age of knowing, evolution, and resurrection.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk That Crap. It's the first show of 2025. I hope everybody's had great holiday, great new year. Hope everybody is focused in what they're doing and what's going on right now. Hope that you're not so distracted that you don't realize what's in front of you. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Tonight we're going to get right into it, and we're going to start talking about timelines and variations and the way that we perceive life or conceive life, which is the most important. So we're going to talk about cycle variations. We just came out of cycle of Pisces. Now we're into a cycle or an age of Aquarius. And because of those things, there's a significant amount of psychological energy and spiritual significance that is so ready for right now. That's all that there is. So in this cycle and variations, everyone is actually having a variation of what that unfoldment is. And if you're too distracted in that cycle, you'll find yourself in a situation or a reality that's not a conducive for what you desire. Right now is the time that you really want to understand your cycle and what that time means to you. If you're not really focused in what's really happening right now, because we seeing everything. We got wars, we got foods, we got TV, we got YouTube, we got everything that there is. At the same time, you have to choose your timeline. It's like Loki. You know, we are all variants. We all come from different times. And we're here now. Some of us are not experiencing the same thing as another because we're on different timeline. We're on a different variation. The cycle that we on, it raises a height of evolution and change. It harnesses growth and understanding. So we're not going to have particular cycles where everything is just so wrong. You know, we are able to look at what they're using as distractions, what they're using to get your attention, how they harness your attention. That's a cycle that within itself of how they went through extreme measures to cycle off your energy, to siphon it from you. That's why sometimes a lot of people go to work or they enter relationships or they'll be around a certain people and all of a sudden they just drain. They don't even know that they were just siphon of all of their energy based upon the variation that they're in, the cycle that they're in. Now, if they break the cycle, decide to do something different, they wouldn't be drained of all of that energy. But if you don't know, then it's just regular thing. We're talking about cycles of heightened consciousness, light. The thing that they want to hide from you, what they say is dark matter, is just the depths of your own mind. It's your interaction with that. That's gonna give you your cycles and your variations. Like we already in a cycle of change. We already in a cycle of change. You're not able to stop the cycle. You're just going to be a variation within that cycle. What are you going to do? What conception of the world do you live in? Or are you only reacting to what the distraction does for you? How the distraction makes you feel? Like we've been placed in a cycle for so long. That's why when they actually unalive a melanated man or a woman, they place us in a cycle. And so a lot of people just go out and react. They go into the streets, they're on social media, they're siphoning that energy. And we're beyond that right now. We are beyond that right now. These cycle variations take you to higher plates of evolution. It's taking you beyond the mundane distraction. Because they can only do so much to distract you. It's either going to be by TV, music, the media. It's all the same thing. What can I do to get you off of you raising your frequency of who you are? And how do I know I'm in a cycle? You can just observe your life. Observe your life and ask yourself, have I experienced this more than one time? Have I had particular relationships or friendships that were not conducive for me? Have I had jobs that wasn't good for me, that I quote unquote dislike, even though you went and fill the application out, you went to orientation, you did all of that in order to start working and then figure out you don't want to do it. How many times have you done that cycle? Now it's time to have a variation of that. Instead of you going to a job, you may be able to start an LLC, get a service, not just sell products, like give something back to the people. If you're going to ask for someone's earned money, then you should be giving them something back in exchange that would enhance their life. Not just a shirt or coat, even if it's a shirt or coat. What's the statement in that shirt or coat or that product that makes them say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna rock with them on this. I really like what they're doing right now, and so I'm gonna rock with them on this. We all have been in cycles. Some of us, we had the same cycle of like I said, relationships. And you in the same thing. You keep wondering why you meeting the same type of dude, why you meeting the same type of girl, why you in the same situations all the time. Because you're in a cycle and you may not know you in a cycle. You now should be a variation of that cycle. If you've been in a cycle, you know what you don't like, then you should be at a point to where now you can make a variation based upon the decisions that you once made and all the choices that you had. And sometimes I say that that's just too much in itself. Is sometimes there's so many choices, you don't know how to make a decision. You don't have a place of core to go to till you can sit down with yourself and say, okay, what's the best thing for me to do right now? Can I sit down and just in silence and be quiet and understanding that, hey, let me do a self-analysis on myself. Let me take a look at these cycles in which I've been doing. Let's say you started a business one time and then you wasn't very successful in your business. Well, that was a particular cycle. When you go to start another business, do you remember when you failed, or are you understanding you using that as a variation? And that's what I'm talking about cycles. Some of us are in cycles and we don't really understand that we're in cycles, but we are having the same set of circumstances that come all the time. That's a cycle. And now it's time for you to have a variation of that. And in that variation, you're going to change what? Timelines. You're going to take a new timeline and they're going to be like, where are you? You know the old thing, where are you, Waldo? Where are you? Where are you in this new timeline? And this new timeline, who are you? Not only where are you, who are you? Who are you in this new timeline? Do you really understand who you are? In significance, in essence, do you know that you are divine? And this timeline is not going to be, it's an evolution of humanity. I'm not going to say a leaving behind of humanity. And in some sorts, it is leaving humanity behind. Because humanity is a thing that can get you stuck in a cycle. Because even us as humanity, we are here to evolve. Excuse me. We are here to evolve. We're not here to stay the same. That's why we have different seasons. That's why we get a quote unquote a year older every year. Why we grow in size, how we fluctuate in weight. That's based upon all the things that what we do to our body and the timeline we in. If you're in a timeline where you're maximizing your health, then you're going to be having moments and experiences where your health is getting better. You're more focused. You're more clearer. Everything is happening to you just the way you want it. You're fasting. You're on a new timeline. You're doing different things. If you don't know where you are or what you're doing right now, you could be lost inside of a cycle and don't know how to find your way out. And I've seen that as well. Some people are lost inside of a cycle. There's a lot to what's going on right now that if you don't have a level of understanding and discernment, if you're not able to really understand what's going on, especially from these orbs and UFOs or UAPs or whatever they call these flying objects, unidentified objects, where we're not even looking at the simplest things that we're on a planet in space on a plane. So we are already aliens. So if we can get beyond that, then everything else is going to be who are you and what timeline you want. This timeline is about knowing, the age of knowing. So a lot of the lies are being, as you see right now, 2024, 2025 is going to be just as crazy. Going to be just as wild. It's going to be the wild, wild west. That's why you have to know who you are, and you have to know what timeline you want. Because if you're on a particular cycle right now, that variation is going to be very difficult for you to do anything with, because you're going to be so focused in a distraction. You're going to be defending the distraction if you're not careful. You defend the thing that actually caused you pain. Yeah. That's why you got to know where you are, who you are. You can mess around and defend the thing that's causing you the most pain. And you've seen it in toxic, what they call toxic relationships. I call people that don't know how to be together, communicate, or understand one another. They call it toxic. Well, toxicity can kill you, so I guess it can be toxic if you want to go to terminology. But we're looking at we define these relationships in such terms that when we identify with the idea, it plants images in our mind. And if we see even a slightest fraction of that, we already insisting on that individual being within that cycle. And that may not be true. That individual could be having a moment where they realize, hey, you know what, I'm in a cycle that I need to be changing. But you just judge the individual based upon their own evolution. That's why I stated before. How do you judge someone based upon their own change? This is their growth. This is their process. This is how they understand the fundamentals of their own lives and what they desire most inside of their life. So how are you going to be critical and analyze what kind of change that they're going through, or how long is it taking? Oh, they should have been finished with that long time ago. I don't understand why it's taking them so long. Then again, it's something in your life you've been dealing with for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. But nobody is pointing their finger at you. And if somebody pointing your finger at you, guess what? They holding you to the standard that you pointing the fingers at everybody else. So we can get beyond pointing the fingers and really understanding who we are. Right now, you know that you are a divine being. And when I say divine, I'm not talking about just, oh, God coming to save us. You're the God essence that dwells within. You are your only savior. Nobody else can be able to save you. In this cycle, you are your only savior. If you don't save yourself, I say you don't save yourself. If you don't save yourself, you're going to be met with that irresponsibility, and you can meet your doom, because you don't want to be responsible enough to really address what's going on in your life. So timelines is going to be everything. You want a high vibration or you want a low vibration? What's your timeline? We all got different timelines. What that gonna be like? What that look like? How do you enhance your life based upon the timeline that you want? And if you own a timeline and your life not being enhanced, you may want to check your cycle. You may want to see where you at inside of your cycle and what variations that you can make in order for your life to be fulfilled. Like, are you doing things today that you actually feeling fulfilled in your life? Where are you? Where are you? Who are you? The old Maximus said, know thyself. They didn't say know how you feel. They say know thyself. You have to do a self-analysis to know thyself within mind, spirit, and soul. You got to know that. That there's no one that's going to come and give you anything. Nothing. So tonight, I'm going to share five ways to approach your spiritual mind based upon the cycle that you may be in and the timeline that you're looking to go toward. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to share five ways to approach your spiritual mind that it may assist you in your cycles and your variations and your timelines. Where are you? Who are you? These are things that I say that I use that you may also use as well to help you understand where you are. The first one, I call it the lighthouse. I call it soul light, lighthouse, soul light. And the reason why I label it lighthouse, because the lighthouse is that light that goes around, but it also brings you to land safely. It lets you know land is there. So for me, soul light is the guidance that brings you further inward to yourself, to know thyself. That's ultimate who we are. So that lighthouse continuously brings us into self through guidance and understanding. It gives us pathways to maneuver through the water, to make sure that when you hit land, when you enter the body, hear what I say? When you enter the body on land, when you enter the body, now you understand more of who you are. You have a sense of presence and awareness. See, that lighthouse is going to guide you. It's going to give you the instruction in what you need. It's going to show you different things that you can let go. Leave it out at sea. Don't bring it into your land. Don't bring it into your body. A lot of times we are bringing so many things in our memory based upon cycles and timelines. We have a difficulty understanding the lighthouse, the soul light, the spirit, the spirit that's guiding you, that's nudging you in one direction or another. They're saying, hey, you've been in the cycle too long. It's time to come out. Hey, we're not on this timeline no more. We on a new timeline. How many variations can you see for self? Where are you when it comes to self? So that lighthouse, it puts a spotlight on your inward motion, your inward guidance. You're not confused when you're dealing with the lighthouse. You're not confused when you're dealing with soul light. Because from soul is going to give you understanding. It's not going to be something that you're not going to be able to understand. You're going to be able to understand it in pure reverence, pure understanding. And speaking of pure reverence, listen, number two, principles and values, honor, reverence, decisions. Now, see, again, principles and values. I said this before, principles and values. That's how my life changed, was based upon principles and values. And I had to honor and reverence my decisions. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that, hey, what principles and values do you live on based upon your soul light? And from your lighthouse, do you honor and reverence the decisions that you make? Now, I've stated on one of my lives before, choices are not decisions. And I gave the example of you have many places to go eat at. All of those are choices, yet you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. And it's the same thing when it comes to our principles and values. There's a decision to be made. Yeah, excuse me for 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, principles and values, to honor and reverence your decision. See, when you begin to honor and reverence your decisions, not every action that you take, you have to be responsible for. And not only that, all your action is going to be based upon principles and values. So you're going to be not led into variation or cycles that is not going to allow your life to be enhanced. You're not going to take in guidance that's going to lead you astray. Because the guidance that you're coming in with now is set with principles and values. And because of your principles and values, now I honor and reverence my decisions. Now I'm doing things in life now that definitely taking me to a higher place, because now I'm taking the advice from my own spirit and soul to know thyself. I'm allowing that to be my lighthouse. So that's taking me deeper into me. I'm dealing with principles and values, and I honor and reverence those in every decision that I make. So now all my actions are pure. All my actions come behind a reason behind it. I'm not doing something just to be doing something. I'm not doing it. I got all the right reasons of why I am doing what I'm doing. And they're all backed by principles and values. So I'm benefiting every time I make a decision, I benefit in life. And that is where you want to be. You want to be able to benefit from every decision that you make in life based upon your principles and values. Because, see, when you take in that lighthouse, that soul light, you're automatically being guided by the divine. And from that, you're now adding principles and values, and you're going to reference those decisions. Now, what you're going to deal with, your archetype and your psyche. That's the one thing when it comes to spirituality, I don't hear a lot of people talk about is your archetype and psyche. Now, we all know that we are all archetypes. It's a mental record of all things, and you can study Carl Jung. He has some great information based upon archetypes and dealing with the psyche. And within the archetype and the psyche, you're now dealing with functions and concepts. So now everything that you do has a picture, it has a function inside of the psyche based upon principles and values that you reverence and honor those decisions that's coming from the lighthouse. What does your archetype look like? What are your functions and concepts within this cycle and variations? What are you doing? Who are you? Where are you? What's your timeline? All this affects the psyche and the archetype because you have to base your decisions based upon the functions and concepts of the mind. Where your functions and concept of the mind come from the principles and values. Where does your principles and values come from? Soul light, the thing that's guiding you in, is also attached because it's one of you, one soul, one mind to your archetype and psyche. So that also brings into your functions and concepts. What are your daily functions and what are your mental concepts? What are your daily concepts and what are your mental functions? We have to be able to look at this from a spiritual light to where we understand that it's about your own evolution. That's why this variations, these cycle of variations, that's why we're understanding what those cycles really mean. And you're taking variations based upon that. Because you understand that where you are right now is not your desired place to be. So now you're looking at, hey, you know what? Well, how do I address my psyche? Look at what you do in life. Go look up what archetype is. Go look up what your psyche is. If you don't know what your psyche is, that's why our ancestors, they had a rites of passage. Your rites of passage was in order for you to go from one level of your psyche to another. It's the same thing when they had certain mystery schools in what is called Egypt. They had the right eye of Horus and the left eye. So you had two different eyes and you dealt with two different aspects. And in 7 years, you dealt with your emotions and feelings and overcoming all of those things. And then in the second 7 years, you dealt with the cosmos and astrology and how to chart the stars and different things of that nature. So you had to understand all things. It's the same thing when it comes to this cycle. You are a star. Like, wow, you don't know you a star? You a star in the cosmos. And you don't have to do anything but accept that and recognize it as itself. Do you recognize yourself as divinity? Is that possible for you? Or do you have conflictions when it comes to looking in the mirror based upon your conception of self? You may have a difficult time. It may be difficult for you. And see, once you understand the psyche and the archetype based upon the function and conceptions, guess what's next? Now we're looking at vibration and frequency, energy and intuition, vibration and frequency. See, once you understand what's going on inside of the psyche based upon the functions and the concepts, you can now look at the frequency and what you're doing. And now you change the frequency, you raise the frequency, you transmute the vibration based upon energy and intuition. Because again, that soul light is bringing you in. So that's that lighthouse. And see, that lighthouse is a soul, it's a one singular light that rotates. So it's like a light that sees all. We're not the light that sees all, but we are a part of the light that sees all, based upon our frequency and vibration. So those who are seeing this right now, it's because of the frequency and vibration that they're actually on. They have an understanding of energy and said, hey, you know what? Based upon my archetype and my psyche, these functioning concepts that I have to raise my frequency. I have to change my vibration. My vibration one time might have been too low based upon the cycle that I had been in for so long. And because I've been in that cycle for so long, I now have raised the energy. I've raised the energy. And that's where we at right now, the ability to raise it. Raise your frequency and vibration on gratitude and joy and love. Like, why would you, in your variations, in your cycle of variation, are you conflicted about what's happening in your life right now? Are things happening fast enough for you, not fast enough for you? Do you feel that you're around good people? Do you feel you're around people that do you no good? Are you around anyone that does not desire the best for you in your life? And if you are, pay attention to those frequencies and those vibrations. Be intuitive to your energy. I'm a very energetic person, and I've learned to read auras and energy as well. So what is your cycle of variation? How does that look to you? And the one thing that I would say, number 5, signs and symbols. Signs and symbols. It's the one thing that we have repetition in everything that we do. There are signs and symbols. The color of our clothes, the shape of our homes, the shape of the signs and symbols that's outside when we get on the road, the archetype, all archetype are symbols. So you have to be looking at your archetype and your psyche based upon the signs and symbols that you receive repetitiously every single day. So sometimes you're caught in a cycle based upon the signs and symbols that are of low vibration, that controls your psyche, that gives you functioning concepts, that now, based upon the principles of those particular concepts, you honor those decisions that actually cause you the pain. So there's a lot that's going on here. I got to shave, y'all. So there's a lot going on when it comes to excuse me. There's a lot going on compared to what's going on in our lives. So the signs and symbols are everything. That's why it was the 5th, because it leads right back to the one. The signs and symbols leads you right back to your lighthouse, to your soul light. What does that symbol look like for you? What does that core look like to you that's bringing you back into center to know thyself? What signs and symbols that you honor in your principles and value, that you give honor and reverence to your decisions? Look at me sneezing in the show. Thank you. Woo! Archetypes. Your archetype and psyche. What are your functioning concepts when it comes to signs and symbols? What is your vibration and frequency when they're dealing with your intuition when it comes to signs and symbology. See, the one thing that we're not paying attention to is what's all there. All the signs and the symbols are there based upon our cycle of variation. We all are having variations within this cycle. All of us. If anybody is not going through change right now, you're stagnant and you're probably going to be blew away. Probably going to be end up to be dust, nothing. Thanos, snap the finger, out of here, gone. So in your cycle of variations, it's to know who are you, where are you, what's your timeline, what timeline are you on? Are you on a timeline where they're doing every single thing to distract and murder and kill you, and they give you all of these different things, and you know the distraction of the political campaign, the wars that's going on, the food, they're doing everything to keep you away from understanding who you are, where you are in this particular timeline based upon your cycles and variations. What variation will you make at this particular time that does nothing but enhance you? Are you at a place where you're going to allow that greatness within you to unfold? The unfoldment. It's like watching a flower unfold. You're talking about a cosmic consciousness that is unfolding within us all. So a lot of us right now are going through situations where we're looking at certain cycles and going, this don't even look right. You go out and you start looking at TV or anything like that, and now you got total different things that are happening, and then somebody else call you and said, hey man, you ain't seen so and so and so and so. You be like, no, I ain't seen that, because they're on a particular cycle of variation, and that's what they're intaking. So everybody, we can all be on the same plane, but be in different cycles. We are multidimensional beings. What they call it, in dark matter, they call it superposition. Billy Carson talked about superposition. All of these people talk about, even in the quantum world, they talk about superposition of the quantum computer, being at multiple places at one time. What, don't they say the same thing about our atoms? That our atoms are 95% empty space? Oh, okay. Then what makes it real? What makes it real? Yeah, the principles and vibration, the principles and values, the archetype and the function and the concept that you give it. It's like Green Lantern. His will was able to construct anything he can think in his mind. The strength of the construction was based upon his will. It's the same thing for you, same thing for me. What are you constructing in your mind right now based upon this cycle that you're in right now? Because we all in different cycles. My cycle not going to be the same as yours. It doesn't make it better or worse. We just at different cycles. So my variation, what I would take for me in my life, is not going to be the same variation as you would take for you. The same principles and values that I use in my life to enhance my life are not going to be the same principles and values that you use for you, because we're at a different place in life. We are at a different cycle. We at a different frequency. Have you dealt with your psyche in depth enough that you're able to see the archetype? What archetypes are actually controlling you based upon the functioning concepts? You think your personality is here based upon what's not happening in your psyche? Your personality is based upon what is happening in your psyche. What do you archetypically adhere to as an idea? That's where your variation comes into play. That's why you questioning, know thyself. Are you vibrating at a frequency to where your energy now can magnetically pull and create the thing that you truly desire? Or are you still talking about what someone else is doing, the powers that were, they're going to do this, and the inflation is really bad? Yes, they are going to do some really diabolical things. I'm pretty sure of it. Ultimately, you still have to decide the timeline you're going to be on. Are you going to participate? Are you going to honor and reverence what they tell you without you knowing yourself? without you placing principles and values in your life, the signs and symbols in your life that can change you psychologically, archetypically, you're not going to be able to listen to the soul light that brings you in safely to allow that divine consciousness to unfold within you. Not for nobody else, just for you. Yeah, for you to evolve and grow. All of these things that are happening in our life right now is just about that. It's just about your growth. It's about your change. We are all going through change right now. The thing is, do you understand your cycle? If we came out of one cycle, which is Pisces, we're in a new cycle called Aquarius, then everything should be changed. You know, my daughter gave me a reading the other night, New Year's Eve. She gave me a reading. And she said, she pulled some cards, and the cards were talking about terraforming. And she said, even though you terraform your mind before, you have to do it now again at a whole new level. All the thing that you once would do to terraform your mind, you got to wipe all that away and learn how to re-terraform your mind brand new. I said, whoa. And the funny thing about it is a particular situation happened in my life 24 hours prior to that. And I'm in meditation, and in my meditation, this old man walks up. Old man. He said, I said, how did you get here? Because again, my mind terraformed. If you're not of a particular spiritual light, you shouldn't even be able to be up in there. I said, how did you get here? He said, it took me a long time to get here, but I made it. I appreciate you. So when my daughter said I had to terraform my mind all over again, not what I've already done, but a brand new way to terraform. 24 hours ago, I was told that same thing. It took a long time. It's an old scruffy old man. See, that's a psyche. That's what's happening in my own mind. So most people don't want to talk about what's happening in mind because based upon their functions and their concepts or the ideas they have in mind, it's only a cycle of perpetual trauma, the thing that caused them pain, ignorance, confusion. So a lot of times when you can ask somebody what's going on in their life, that's why they're going to tell you their problems first. Because that's the idea and where they are. Those are the principles and values that they honor and reverence is the pain. And they, you can ask somebody, hey man, what's going on in your life? They'll take you back 10, 15 years. So the principles and values that they live on, it works for them because that's who they are. They just don't know that they're in a cycle that their own mind is perpetuating their own hurt and pain. So we must always be at a level, at a place where we can look inside of our mind and our spirit. In the Kabbalion, they say that all is mind, the universe is mental. So from that aspect, they're saying all of the divine is all mind. Well, if consciousness is an evolution evolution that takes place based upon its own understanding of evolution, because consciousness don't need your input. You may observe consciousness and you can place your input based upon what you observe, but it don't need your input. It's like that's what divinity is. So we're here now in this cycle of variations. We're all in a cycle of variation. We all on new timeline. And the only thing about the timeline is, where are you? Who are you? Where are you? Who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know you a child of the All Mind? Do you know that you are a part of the All Mind? That you are actually having an experience as a divine being? Do you know that? And if you know that, what timeline you on? Again, these were 5 ways to approach your spirit and mind. 5 ways. This is what I've been doing for years. Number 1, soul light. It's that lighthouse. It's the light that brings you in. That light goes around 360 degrees. So it's able to bring you in and make sure that as your soul is bringing you in security and allowing that conscious to unfold within you, you are safe and secure. That's what that lighthouse does. That lighthouse gonna give you a place of security that you can come and enter your land, enter the body, enter consciousness itself. Because the body itself is consciousness. That's why we have cravings. The body crave. The body craving or the mind craving. And if the mind is craving and the body is craving, and I can fast, that means the body got a craving and the mind can resist. So we got two minds. We got a mind of the body, and we got a conscious mind. What holds you on your principles and value when it comes from the lighthouse? Do you honor and reverence your decisions? Every decision that you make in your life based upon the principle and value will enhance you and everyone around you. You're not every action that you take will be the benefit. You will gain the benefit from it, and then others will gain the benefit as well. Because you will honor and reverence your decisions. You don't even care how many choices there are. You only referencing the decision based upon the principles and values. From the principles and from the principles and value, you're able to take a look at the archetype in the psyche. You're able to take a look at the functions and concepts. What concepts do you wield in your life that archetypically could actually set you up in a cycle and a variation that actually cause you hurt and pain? You want to set that cycle up right now to where you're evolving in gratitude, you're growing in understanding and success, you're understanding financial literacy. You understand what it means for you to grow and evolve in your divine state, not for anything, just as who you are. Not for anything, just being just who you are. And based upon that, then you start to enter your frequency and vibration, your energy intuition. What are you vibrating towards based upon your psyche, your archetype? Based upon what? Your functions and concepts. Based upon what? The soul light, that thing comes within. Your frequency and vibration is everything. They say we all vibrating. Nothing stands still. So even though you're looking at me and it said I'm still, I'm not. I'm still vibrating. And even those who are looking at this post now or will look at it later, you're only watching the frequency. Huh? That I intentionally laid out based upon the psyche, the soul light, the principles and the values, and what? Signs and symbols. If you can look behind me, you see signs and symbols. When you walk out the door every day, when you put on your clothes, those are signs and symbols. Your color is a symbol. When you look at fast food restaurant, you'll see the color that they use, and that's connecting you to your 7 chakras. So when you see yellow and red in most places, it's going to be red in there somewhere. Then you're dealing with your root chakra, the place to survive. So they're giving you all of these things to take you away from the truth, which is you're in a new cycle. You're supposed to be the variation within that, and that variation is for you to rise back into your divine state. It's not for you to perpetuate or for you to continue in the same old cycle of hurt, confusion, pain. Oh, they did this. They unalived this person. Oh, they did this to that person. Hey, what timeline are you on? Who are you? Where are you? Where your frequency at? What you doing with your own mind? What archetypes? What's going on inside of your psyche that gives you the function and the concepts in which you believe and have ideas about? They say we think from our ideas, and in the spiritual occult text, it said you think from your ideas, not from what you desire. So now we're looking at everybody. Now you can be able to see, hey, based upon their function, their concept, you get to see what their idea is, what's inside of their archetype and psyche. You can get to see what's going on inside someone's psyche. Not that I'm a psychic. I understand psyche. Again, it was a rites of passage at one time. And it's all about, again, signs and symbols. Without signs and symbols, everything is signs and symbols. Everything. That's why on cultures all over the globe, they're left symbols. They're left signs. They're left things that could help you understand based upon the symbology. And that's why some of the signs and symbols have been misdiagnosed. Because you have to have a certain level of consciousness in order to decode certain frequency. But we are in the signs and symbols every single day. The color of your car, your job that you work at, that's a symbol. Money is a symbol. Everything got symbols in it. Everything. You fathers and mothers, you are a symbol. You are an archetypical image. You impress upon the psyche by you not even knowing it. That's why sometimes your child be doing some things. You was like, well, where they get that from? I ain't never showed them. Yes, you did. Through the signs and symbols of being an archetype, they watch you and just mimic that. But you think it's nothing. So that's why I know some of the things that I do when I see my grandkids and my daughters do. I just shake my head and be like, well, they saw it honestly. So yeah. So if I don't like that, guess what? I'm an archetype that can change. I can decide to do something different. I can decide to do whatever I want to do differently, especially when it comes to enhancing my family, especially when it comes to enhancing those that are around me. So I'm not going to say things won't get in the way. I won't say that situations won't happen in your life. I won't say that they're not going through everything they can possibly do to get you distracted for you not understanding who you are. Once you understand who you are and you come into that lighthouse, you allow that soul light to bring you to a level of understanding to where you're able to deal with your principles and values in life. And family, I'm telling you honest truth. That's how it all changed. If y'all hear, that's my grandson. He sounds like he's a little upset right now. So for everything that's happening is all based upon your principles and values. If it's not principles and values, then it's functions and concepts. And who runs your function and concepts? Your function and concept run in your unconscious mind. That's in your psyche, where your archetype is. That's where you have an idea, quote unquote, what you call your personality. That's why you have the idea of self the way that you do have, and it may not be alignment with your divine unfoldment. May not be aligned. So that's why a lot of time people say, "Oh, I'm doing this in life. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Man, I'm catching hell." Why are you catching hell? It's your unfoldment. It's your unfoldment. It's all about you. It's all about you. And so in my closing remarks, it's really simple. Understand and see where your cycle at and what variation that you're looking to take. I left 5 ways that you can approach your spiritual mind. If you can understand those 5 ways to understand your spiritual mind, you can have a good self-analysis, and then you can make your adjustments based upon where you're going in your life. That you know who you are, where you are, and where you're going. And it's so important right now that we do know who we are and where we're going. Because in the age of knowing, you're going to have to know who you are. You're going to have to stand on who you are. You're going to have to know that. You're not going to be able to repeat that and just be acting like you know that. You're going to have to know that. If you can't rise to that frequency, you're probably going to be left to distractions. If you're not going to be able to rise to that new frequency, you're probably going to be left to distraction. So that's why in these cycle of variations, don't be surprised if people just start disappearing and they're not even on your timeline no more. And you trying to figure out what happened to them, and you just can't. You're not able to contact them no more. You changed the timeline. You've raised your frequency, and they may no longer be on the same plane with you. So with that being said, thank you for another great show of Talk That Crap. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend. Be well. Be blessed. Peace, love, consciousness.
Line of haters observe, but not to support, to discourage. Vision so passionate, it's disturbing. Creator rise, always positive surging. Cosmic potency emerges. Brain of eternal, hands on my time. Impossible prince, can God watch you step in the mind. Soul triggers, power, holy divine righteousness. Combined with courage, love of essence. Don't let trauma bind and block your blessings. When you behind